Hi, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Child Nutrition Program monthly webinar. Today is November 15th and it's 8:30, so we'll go ahead and get our webinar started. For today's agenda, we are going to talk about the verification, NSLP on-site monitoring, the NTIG grant that's coming out, adult meal prices, USDA foods, procurement. I have a spotlight on local, the Farm to School Census, and Institute for Child Nutrition trainings. And then our next webinar, we won't have one in December. So first up, we have verification.
Good morning, everyone. So quickly, we're just going to remind you that today the report is due. So November 15th, all verification activities must be complete and you must submit the verification report in My Idaho CNP. So if this was not on your radar, make sure that this gets top priority right now. And also, we just want to give you guys a reminder about NSLP on-site monitoring. So for each school food authority with no more or two or more feeding sites must perform no less than one on-site review of the meal counting and claiming system in the readily observable general areas of review, in each school operating the National School Lunch Program and 50% of the schools operating the school breakfast program prior to February 1 each school year. So that means that you guys are probably going to want to start planning those if you haven't already started planning them to make sure that those are all done by February 1st of 2024. Some things I do want to bring up with regards to this. So since 50% of the schools operating school breakfast program have to be reviewed, let's say that you have an odd number of schools. So let's say you have 7 schools. You're going to round up. So you're not only going to do 3, you would do 4 breakfast on-site monitoring reviews. And also for those schools that only have, or those school food authorities that only have one site, you aren't required to do this, but we highly recommend it since these are going to be the things that we're going to be looking through on a review. And it will just remind you of some of the things and processes that you should be looking out for.
Thanks, Jax. And Sean, you want to take it away?
Yes. Good morning. Next slide. I wanted to give you all a heads up that round 3 of the TIG mini grants will be released December 1st. All sponsors operating NSLP, CACFP, or SFSP are eligible to apply for this funding. The application will be sent to sponsors via email on the 1st. The application will also be available to download from the state's website under the Awards, Grants, and Recognition tile. I've provided you the link to the website there on the screen. Applications are due by January 12th, and we hope to announce those being awarded by the end of January. If awarded, anything purchased with the grant funds must be completed and installed within 6 months of the grant award, as this is the final year of this grant opportunity, and we at the state need to close out the program. Next slide, please. This funding is for the purchase of items to meet your child nutrition technology needs. This can be the purchase of hardware such as laptops, desktops, printers, scanners, digital displays. It can also purchase software such as POS systems, menuing, and inventory programs. Another eligible use would be training for any of the hardware or software requested. We have approximately $175,000 available to award. The maximum amount that can be requested is $24,000, and you must submit 3 comparable bids with your grant application. You will find full details of the funding included in the grant application form, along with the examples of some projects that may assist you when developing your project. And that's all I have, so I will turn it over to Jax now.
Thank you. All right. Jax, you want to tell us about adult meal prices?
Surely. So we're also going to be talking to you guys about adult meal prices. So last year, we're talking about when you did renewal last year, you set your adult prices for this year, which were at the minimum $265 for breakfast and $470 for lunch. We already know what we're going to require you guys to have for minimums next year during renewal. So we want to tell you guys now so that you can go talk to your administration and talk to your board to make sure that those are getting approved in ample time so that when renewal comes around next year, it's not such a quick turnaround for you guys, and that you guys can just have it on your radar now. So next year, the minimum that we're going to require from you guys is $285 for an adult meal, breakfast, and $495 for lunch. These adult meals must be set at a price sufficient enough to cover the overall cost of the meal, including the value of any USDA foods used in the production of adult meals. So also anything with regards to labor, taking into account sales tax, because adult meals and second student meals are taxable as opposed to reimbursable meals. Anything with regards to utilities and indirect costs. So we have gone ahead and set this price and made sure that you know. So jot down $285 for breakfast and $495 for lunch for adult meals next year, so that you can take that to your administration and board as needed.
Thank you, Jax. Next up, we have USDA Foods.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for participating. So first, I wanted to let everyone know that we are very fortunate in Idaho. We have friends in Utah that had excess cheese that they needed to find a home for. So Idaho was the recipient of 50,000 pounds of mozzarella cheese, and we received that product entitlement free. So it will not affect anyone's entitlement to be able to use that cheese. The cheese was sent to Schwann's for processing. So all the pounds that were gifted to us have been loaded into the Idaho Single Bank. And the good news is that every recipient agency will be able to use those pounds because there was no entitlement associated. There was no requisitioning of pounds for that product. So anyone currently using Schwann's products, a couple of things I need for you to remember. If you have bid commercially for Schwann's products, please honor your bids. These pounds do need to be used through the commodity program. So the difference, commodity being USDA foods, commercially being anything that you perhaps bid in your co-op. But keep the pounds in mind as you're looking at your menus moving forward, because this may give you an opportunity to introduce some Schwann's products that maybe you haven't been able to use in the past. Currently, there are 2 products available to place on order, and I've shown those on the screen. So those actually exist in the Gold Star Foods ordering system for us right now. However, excuse me, I've got a tickle this morning. There will be additional Schwann's products available soon. So Gold Star Foods will be sending out an email letting us know when those products, it's just a matter of getting them into inventory. So if you're interested in using those pounds of cheese and you're unsure how the single bank works, make sure to reach out to your Gold Star Foods representative that shows in your Gold Star Foods ordering system, or reach out to Edith Gonzalez. She will help make sure that you understand where to find Schwann's products and that you can receive those at the commodity discount. And just for some clarification, because I know there's a lot of confusion, products will be purchased commercially because your USDA Foods only provides 20% of the food on the plate. So you will likely be purchasing, those of you that use Schwann's products, some Schwann's products commercially, but now you have access to the commodity pricing, which essentially is commercial pricing less the value of the cheese that is used to make any Schwann's product. So hopefully that helps some of you. I know many of you are new to this USDA Foods world, but I just want you to understand cheese is available. You can get products from Schwann's with that cheese. Next slide, please. And then, of course, I did want to remind everybody, we talked about this a couple of months now on webinars, but we may have to reduce allocations to DOD. This is part of our overall reduction of entitlement already allocated and or spent as a result of the 5 million meals that were less than we anticipated for the entitlement for this school year. So I just want to remind those folks that use DoD and allocated funds to it. We will only reduce DoD fresh allocations after USDA has updated meal counts in WebSCM. I know what our meal counts are, but we want the final meal count that has been reported to USDA to be updated. That typically happens right around now. So hopefully this will happen in the next couple of days. And we will only reduce DoD fresh allocations if it's necessary to reduce our overspent entitlement. So I'll look at all the factors once those meal counts are updated, take into consideration what truckloads still need to be purchased and what their average cost is, and then make a determination as to whether or not we need to do that. I want to assure everyone that we will do it fairly. So we will determine likely on a percentage basis of the overall reduction we need to do and how much money is still sitting in favors to be spent. And it will be equitably applied to all recipient agencies who have remaining DoD allocation balances in favors. Also, you will be notified if you're an affected recipient agency as to what your previous allocation was and the final allocation amount. So I don't want you to stress about it. We will communicate prior to any of this going on. And then next slide, please. And then just a reminder about what activities will need to occur prior to WebSCM requisitions, because that time is coming upon us. For anyone new to this program, requisitions in WebSCM take place the end of February, early March, typically. Those requisitions will be for your USDA foods for school year 24-25. So what happens is USDA FNS will issue a foods available list, typically mid-December. We'd love to have it sooner, but that's about when we can count on it. That list is sent to your Idaho Advisory Council members. They review the list, and the foods available list is literally every single USDA food that is being made available to schools by USDA FNS for the coming school year. So our advisory council will review that list, and they will make recommendations about which products on that list, typically around 250 to 270 products, are most valuable to bring into Idaho, because we will never bring in 260 some products. Our catalog is typically scaled to between 55 and 70 items overall, because we have to do truckload quantities. So the advisory council will review that list as soon as it comes out. They make recommendations, and then the USDA foods team will take those recommendations, put it in a survey format, and all recipient agencies will then be able to see what were the recommendations and be able to participate in a survey for any additional input. So if there's products on that foods available list, if you could just go back on the slides, we'll accept additional input. And then finally, the USDA foods team will take all of the information from advisory council and the survey, and we will begin to put our WebSCM catalog together so that we're prepared for requisitions in February and March. And then concurrent with all of that, the USDA foods team is working to issue state participation agreements. Now, some of you may not know what that means, but essentially, in order for products that are processed to come into our state, there is a regulation that means we have to have an agreement with a processor in place before we can accept their processed foods through the USDA foods program. So we are currently working on those state participation agreements going out, and those state participation agreements were per our advisory council's recommendation. So they've already completed a survey, and now the state agency is acting on those recommendations to get additional state participation agreements out. So that's currently what we're working on. And then the final slide. Thank you, Pamela. So I've had a lot of emails that express some confusion, particularly among newer food service directors, about USDA Foods program and the differences between direct delivery product and further processing products. So I just wanted to kind of give one more overview of what this is. A direct delivery product is cases of products that are delivered directly to schools once received at the warehouse and placed on order in Gold Star Foods ordering system. So what are direct delivery products? They're minimally processed items like cans of green beans, cans of peaches, chubs of ground beef. It's easy to, like your strawberry cups, mixed berry cups, things that would be very minimally processed. So what's the difference then? Further process. Further processing is products like a combined item, like a breakfast sandwich, or chicken nuggets where there's breading on them, or cheese rippers or pepperoni rippers where you have a crust and you have pepperoni and cheese, multiple items. Those products are made by a processor using raw bulk material pounds that were requisitioned and sent to a specific processor, like Bake Crafters makes a breakfast sandwich for us. So schools that requisition pounds of American cheese and sent it to Bake Crafters will order their further processed breakfast sandwich. Or schools that requisition pounds of raw chicken to Tyson will order nuggets and chicken patties, spicy and regular. And the same is true for any schools that requisitioned pounds that were sent to Classic Delight using their entitlement will be able to order and receive those rippers that are made by Classic Delight. So hopefully that helps sort of solidify. Keep in mind that both products, direct delivery and further process, are requisitioned in WebSCM. Cases for direct delivery are ordered. Pounds for further processing are ordered. And we will have a new food service director training coming up in January to help with a hands-on activity around some of this information. But hopefully this helps sort of clarify things. So let's bounce back to Schwann's. Schwann's products are processed. So we got cheese, and now there are processed items that all recipient agencies can order with that cheese. So I hope this information helps clarify for some people who maybe struggle with the USDA Foods terminology. And then of course, DOD is another form of USDA Foods using entitlement. So with that, I will turn it over back to Pamela or Kat.
Thanks, TJ. Yeah, it's Kat's turn.
Okay, and hey TJ, stay on for 1 second, okay? I have seen a couple of questions this week regarding the SCA funds, and I know that the SCA talks about you can only use minimally processed, but you may not use your USDA foods because isn't that considered double dipping, TJ?
That is correct.
So make sure, even though we're saying direct delivery is minimally processed, that does not mean you can purchase or order that food and use it for your SCA funds. That would not be appropriate.
And Kat, can I just want to add those direct delivery products and those pounds of further process, even though you can't use SCA funds for them, they were already paid for with entitlement. So that's what Kat is referring to by double dipping. Your product was already paid for with your entitlement. So you can't ask for a reimbursement on something that was already paid for.
Great, thanks. Yeah, we've just been seeing the questions, so just wanted to kind of put it out there in the universe. All right, everyone's favorite topic, procurement. So I just wanted to make you aware that a memo did come out in 2022, but again, I am working on procurement reviews now, And I just want to make you all aware that the language has been changed a little bit considering if you're going to use the micro purchase. So the language was changed so that it says you can use micro purchase without soliciting competitive price or rate quotations, but you have to consider the price to be reasonable. That's where it used to end. Now you have to consider the price to be reasonable based on research, experience, purchase history, or other information and documents and then you file it accordingly. Because when I do your procurement reviews, I do have to ask for receipts for micro purchase. So you send me your vendor template, I go through all of that, I take your 290, I go through all of that, I do compare line by line and make sure I see everything that's accounted for. And then I do have to ask for micro purchase receipts. And so that's why you need to keep those on file. And also to make you aware that the micro purchase threshold may be $10,000, but if you're purchasing from a single vendor several times over the year and you go over that $10,000, that's what it talks about, the aggregate dollar. So if you go and shop with someone and it gets into the $14,000, I will move that to your small purchase tab, and then I will ask you if you have a contract. And if you don't, it may be something that you would want to consider having quotes for. See if you could get maybe a better deal over the year if you're having a lot of repairs done or things like that. So it is $10,000, but it's the aggregate dollar over the year. So if I see it go over that, then those are probably some of the things that I will ask for. Pamela, can you go back one more time? And so you should see also 2 CFR 200-320 in the middle. That one is letting you know that it used to say you must distribute your micro purchases equitably. However, now it says you should distribute micro purchases equitably. Katie's asking, how does this affect maintenance or repairs that are emergency purchases? So as I've told everyone before, if it's a capital expenditure request, and it's a repair or maintenance and it's an emergency, don't wait for me, get that fixed. We don't want any food being ruined. We don't want any food getting spoiled. So go ahead and do your repairs. And if it's over the 10,000, it's still a repair. That's not something that you have to get approval for when it's a repair or a maintenance and upkeep. I hope that helps, Katie. So again, now it used to say you must distribute micro purchases equitably. Now it says you should. So just be aware of those little bit of changes in language. Okay, Pamela, now the next slide. Thanks. So I recently sent out this updated public procurement of goods and services. Idaho code did change. If you're familiar with procurement and you get asked a lot of questions by me, it used to be $10,001 to $50,000 would be the small purchase procedures where you have to go out and get the oral quotes. Now it's been increased to $75,000. So your micro purchase is still 0 to 10. So 10,001 to 75,000 now, that's your small purchase. And then 75,000 to 150,000, that has also been increased. It used to be 100,000. That's your informal bidding where you have to get written requests. And then 150,000 and above, that's for your formal bidding where you have to go out and do the advertising and everything. Now the federal thresholds are different. So what you see on the screen, these thresholds are for public schools in Idaho. Private and parochial schools can follow the federal guidelines, which is 0 to 10,000, and then 10,000 to 250,000, and then 250,000 above. So I just wanted to make you guys aware. I did send out a broadcast email, or I asked Sharon to send it, and you should have received this. If you didn't, let me know, and I'll make sure you get it. But just wanted you to be aware that the thresholds have increased a little bit. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Kat. And now we're going to talk a little about the Patrick Leahy Farm to School program. This month, I have a spotlight on Coeur d'Alene. The NSLP team was out on a review, and this picture came back to me. And some of the fun facts about bananas and kale. Bananas grow on a plant, not a tree. Bunches of bananas are known as the hands of the plant, and individual bananas are known as the fingers. You can rub a banana peel on mosquito bites, poison ivy, scrapes, and burns to reduce the itching and swelling. And then for kale, kale belongs to the same species of plant as broccoli and cauliflower. The frost is usually bad for plants, but it makes kale taste sweeter. And finally, Thomas Jefferson grew several varieties of kale. So you can take that to your President's Day celebrations. And thanks, Coeur d'Alene, for having the Fruit and Vegetable of the Month Club. Now moving on to talk a little bit about the census. I reached out to some folks. We are number 2 in the country for response rates, and that's as of about a week or so ago. We are second to American Samoa, who is at 100%. They have one school district and that district completed the census, and so that's why they're at 100%. After Idaho, there's Kansas, Wyoming, Virginia, Delaware, and North Carolina. So help us if you haven't completed the census yet. Let us know what you need help with. Reach out. There are folks who have, been there from the very beginning. This is not their first census, and I'm sure they're happy to help however you can. If you get a reminder and you've already completed it, just sorry about that, but no, there's a little lag time between when we get when I get the numbers and what's actually happened. So great job on putting us number 2 and keep up the good work. Thanks so much. And now we have our what's in season slide, and yeah, we're losing access, but that's what happens with winter. We still have the apples, flowers, plants, and herbs. Some microgreens like kale, or regular greens like kale, are still hanging out there. Onions. It's our last month for pears, and then we have potatoes and pumpkins and sweet potatoes and winter squash. Please let me know, what you're using that's local, what you can find. Send me pictures, and let's give a shout out to the food producers around who have done such a good job and help us stay local. So thanks all for all your help with the census and the farm to school program, and really it's really doing great out there. And then
Pamela, don't forget to mention that also helps with the Buy American provision.
thanks, Kat. Yes, of course, Buy American. The Institute of Child Nutrition, ICN, has lots of training opportunities available. The state agency offers high quality contracted support for your benefit, and that's where the Institute of Child Nutrition comes into play. They provide training specifically designed to meet the needs of child nutrition professionals statewide. They offer webinars like the one highlighted here. That's the strategies for motivating school nutrition teams. You can log on and register, and then just watch it when you can at the time. This one's November 30th. It'll be at 1:00 Mountain Time. So they offer like this webinar, but they also have in-person trainings for a minimum of 25 participants. So when you go to the ICN.org and click on the training tab, they have a lot of some folks came to culinary math. Well, if you want to do that for for your district, if you don't quite have 25 participants, reach out, find some others, host a training if you can. If you need help with how to organize it, you can even let us know. But the ICN has a whole catalog of trainings that are there for you. As I mentioned earlier, we won't have a webinar in December. The next webinar is January 17th of 2024. The one thing in December, the December 4th note says, is just a reminder to schedule your SFA on-site reviews to be completed by February 1st. And finally, thank you for all you do. You are really the bright spot in kids' lives, when they get to the cafeteria and see their friends and see you guys, you really do make a difference. And the CNP team hopes that you enjoy your holidays and get some rest in there, and we will see you next year. Did anybody have here's our non-discrimination statement and our phone numbers in case you need to reach out. That's about all we had. We'll give you back 30 minutes of your day. Were there any questions that you wanted to ask? Did we cover the questions in the chat, team? I think so. Okie doke. Well, with that, yeah, you guys have wonderful holidays, and we'll see you next year. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.